In order, the Newman City Council and Redevelopment Agency of July 8, 2008. Please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Lord, we ask you to continue to bless our city and give us the strength and knowledge to make the wise decisions for the citizens of this community. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ed. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Caden?
Present.
Councilmember Kelly? Present. Councilmember Crinkle?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martino?
Present.
Mayor Fantasia?
Present. Just like to announce that at our previous closed session meeting, we reached agreement with our management and confidential employees group, which was 4A on the agenda. Declarations of conflicts of interest. If we have any this evening. Ceremonial matters. We put our good friend Lark Downs under those. Oh, Vince is doing it. We have an update on the blueprint process. And Vince, are you going to give that report?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
He's the boss.
He's a boss. Very wise, Lark. Very wise.
Lark, thank you for that. Mayor and Council, good evening. I'm Vince Harris, Executive Director for the Stanislaus Council of Governments. I am joined this evening by our Senior Planner, Lark Downs. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. We'll have a very brief presentation for you on the San Joaquin Valley Blueprint process. What we want to do is basically three things for you this evening. We want to give you some basic background on the blueprint. We also want to give you some indication where we are in the process to date, and of course, leave you with some next steps in terms of what we're going to be doing with the blueprint. The blueprint is a process that's been underway now for about a year and a half. It was sponsored by a state grant, and we received funding for the fiscal years 05-06, 06-07, and recently for 07-08. You may recall that about a year ago that we proceeded with a number of blueprint workshops throughout the region. They were facilitated by our facilitator, Moore Iacofano Goldsman. You may remember them called MIG, which provided a series of blueprint workshops throughout the community to get some sense of how the persons of the valley feel about where we should be by the year 2050. Results of those workshops were pulled together in an overall report produced by MIG, and the information in that report gave us the ability to go forward and create what we call the Stanislaus County Blueprint Vision Statement. That vision statement incorporated several what we call guiding principles to include land use, the economy, transportation, communication. It might be helpful if I put my glasses on. Education, government, public safety, how we feel about our community, and of course the environment, in particular air quality. And of course, we've seen what it feels like to have poor air quality in the last few weeks. And as I said, it encompasses those guiding principles to give us some idea of how do we shape this vision for the 2050. This vision statement was actually approved by the Stancock Policy Board on February 13th, and the next step in the blueprint process is for each of the 8 counties, including Stanislaus, to prepare what we call a preferred growth scenario. And of course, as soon as we mention the word growth, it means something to all of us. It's important to us, and it's important for you as policymakers to be a part in understanding what this blueprint process really means. To do this, Stancock staff has been working with all of the planning directors, including, of course, your city manager, Mr. Holland, working with all of these folks, as well as the county and LAFCO have been involved with working together with this vision process, which really kind of leads us here tonight. Working with the various planning directors and city managers, it came to our attention that there was some concern from these directors that before we come back out in the next set of workshops, we should make sure that we come and see the city council members to get some sense of how you feel about the blueprint process. Where are we? Why is it important? So that's why we're here tonight. This was in fact an important additional step because we wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with the process that we're going through to develop this blueprint. The workshops the next set of workshops will actually ask citizens to give us some opinion on how they feel about particular growth scenarios. In other words, should we be looking at building in a more dense environment? Should we build up, not out? These are some of the things that we want to approach the citizens and get their input. But before we did that, we again wanted to be clear with the city councils, and the Newman City Council is actually the last city council of all the councils we've gone to thus far to basically get your input and feel for what it is we're trying to do. Because, in fact, the Newman workshop is scheduled for this Thursday night, July the 10th, at 7 p.m. at the Newman Memorial Building. So tonight is an opportunity for Stancock staff to hear from you some of your thoughts on how you feel about this overall blueprint process. Currently, this process, in fact, is voluntary, meaning that the state has provided some grant funding for us to go forward and develop this blueprint. And at this time, it is, in fact, a voluntary process. But who knows what in fact these blueprints might mandate into the future. We do know that currently flowing through the state of California, the legislature is seeing various bills come before them. SB 375 is a case in point. You may have been studying that bill, which in fact do include some provisions for, let's just say, growth containment. The blueprint principles, as we talked about, do speak to some of this growth process and how we deal with it. So quite frankly, we kind of use and see this process right now as an opportunity for policymakers like yourself, including the public, to provide some input into what do you want the vision for this county and this valley to be by the year 2050. We might as well take an opportunity now to get in print a blueprint that you can be satisfied with, because quite frankly, as the future goes, we don't know what the state might do. So I think it's important at this point in time for policymakers like yourselves and clearly the public to have an opportunity to provide input into language in this blueprint that you, in fact, can be satisfied with. So with that, that's my basic presentation, and clearly we'd be glad to answer any questions that the council might have.
Vince, I know in Newman here, we recently updated our general plan. We haven't taken it to LAFCO yet, but what do you think the state, with their wisdom up there in Sacramento, are going to try to go after each city's general plan the way we want to do it if we don't voice our opinion here with the blueprint process? Is that the drift you're getting?
Well, Mayor, quite frankly, none of us have a crystal ball. Some indications in some of the bills that we've seen kind of floating through the legislature give some indication that the state definitely has an interest in having a more consolidated view of how we go through our general plans. But nothing to date has given us an indication that they're trying to actually come through at this local level and guide your general plans. What the blueprint is actually trying to do is be a collaboration between all the general plans here in Stanislaus County, a collaboration within a blueprint process that works with your general plan, doesn't in fact force you to do anything you don't want to do. But I do think what's trying to happen with the blueprints, and as I said earlier, the blueprint process is a San Joaquin Valley-wide process. It's a process that extends all the way from San Joaquin all the way to Kern, some 400 miles. 8 counties are involved with this process. And I think ultimately the process and what the vision of the blueprint really is to try to bring together beyond our borders some type of sense of working together. Wouldn't it make some sense if we had an infrastructure plan that worked not only in Stanislaus County, but maybe worked with Merced County? Wouldn't it make some sense if we looked at water from a position of not just Stanislaus County, but Merced and others, so that we had an overall program that worked? But clearly growth always seems to be the most important discussion that seems to come down. So to answer your question, Mayor, at this point, I don't have a sense that that's what they're trying to do, but we don't know what the future holds.
Right. That bill you talked about, that's Steinberg's bill. Is that the one you talked about? Yeah.
It is.
Reading about that one.
SB 375.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I've got a comment. At one point in time, I heard that the state's supposed to grow at 700,000 people per year. And by the year 2050, that's 42 years away, that's an additional almost 30 million people. You're talking about 8 counties being involved in this. One of the key issues you talked about was water.
Yes, sir.
I think that is, to me, the most paramount issue that needs to be addressed before you talk about any type of growth whatsoever. The state right now is in a drought. They haven't built any new dams. They have environmental, political issues that need to be resolved. So before you can talk about growth and you're talking about your footprint, I think that you need to decide where you're going to get the water for these people, for these 30,000 people they're going to drink. I know myself as an existing person, there's a lot of times where there's not enough water out there now. And as a farmer, I very well know that water is a key issue and a real problem. So that would be my main thrust of, if you're going to look at something in the future, you need to plan and start
with the most important item, water.
I definitely don't disagree with you. Water is an extremely important element. Without it, you really don't have a lot. So, in terms of the first round of meetings, water definitely was one of the items that came up. It really flows through almost all of the principles that were talked about. Certainly it has an impact on the economy. So these kinds of things, trying to weave through the process and discussing these things is what the blueprint's trying to do. As I said, the next major thing they really are trying to look at is a growth scenario. But even within that growth scenario, when you start talking about density or whatever, it incorporates some of those key provisions like water. So it's certainly not something that's not being talked about.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Vince, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Appreciate it. Lark, thank you too.
Mayor, may I at just this opportune time is just again reiterate that this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Louis J. Newman building is the Blueprint Workshop does come to the city of Newman. We encourage all of our residents to come out and participate in the process. Registration begins at 6:30. It's an interactive event, so we'd like to see as many people as possible out there to participate in that, and that's why I'd like to thank Mr. Harris and Mr. Downs for coming tonight and sharing that. Their timing is impeccable, as again we're trying to get our community involved in this blueprint process. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the council.
They don't like us.
Item 7. Not agenda items. If anybody has anything they'd like to bring before the council that is not on tonight's posted agenda, now would be the time.
I guess that would be me, and don't be offended if I don't stay for the rest of the council meeting. I'm Rick Nagel, resident of Gustine, and on the board of the West Side Theater Foundation. And Councilman Caton asked me to come down and give you a little update on what's happening with the radio project. Just to give you some background, as you may recall, in October, the Federal Communications Commission opened a window to apply for non-commercial educational licenses. In that 1-week window, they actually got expanded to 10 days because the application process brought their computer system to its knees somewhere in the middle of that. 3,600 entities applied for licenses across the country. For our particular situation, we are one of 8 applicants for the one frequency that's available in this area. So that means we have 7 competitors. The situation now looks like, based on our legal advice and our engineering advice, that 6 of those competitors will not pass muster with the Federal Communications Commission for various technical reasons. But we do have one strong competitor that, in fact, was probably going to beat us when it came down to the FCC trying to sort this out. So to try to mitigate that, we've modified our broadcast footprint to not have the signal go as far south as it would have initially. It's not going to affect the coverage for Gustine or Newman. It's just going to affect the coverage towards Santa Ana and Los Banos. The idea being that with that change in the broadcast footprint, that we would be able to coexist with the one strong competitor, and we hope that the FCC would then approve for both of us to go on the air. It's a sort of a win-win situation. The FCC, because they have been so overwhelmed by this application process, they've encouraged those people that are in competitive situations to work it out amongst themselves, which is what we're trying to do, because they've said it'd be months, if not years, before they get around to sorting it all out for those people that are in competitive situations, which is, there are other applicants in our situation that have as many as 20 competitors. So it's going to be a long process waiting for the federal bureaucracy to work it out. So we're trying to do what we can to get some settlement amongst our competitors. I spoke with our lawyer yesterday. We have a very qualified broadcast engineer that's responsible for the technical aspects of it, and we have 2 lawyers working for us that are both well versed in broadcast law, and I spoke with one of them yesterday. And we think our next step is he's going to draft a letter for me for review, and our next step is going to be to send letters to those competitors that we think don't stand a chance, to encourage them to vacate their application and kind of get out of our way. He says they may buy that, but they may want us to reimburse them for any legal costs that they've accrued to this point. I'm not sure we can afford that. So I don't have any real good news other than say it's going to drag on for some time. We've got some stiff competition, but we believe that we will prevail. And then the lawyer, when I was talking to him yesterday, said, oh, and there's another complication. There's this issue called daisy chaining that even though we've applied for a certain signal, there are signals on the other side of that that people in other communities, such as Hollister, for example, just to pull a name out of the air, that may have applied for a frequency, and that frequency may be close enough adjacent to us to cause some interference problems, and if they're awarded a license, it may impact our ability to put our radio station on the air. So the long and the short of it, gentlemen, is this is still a long road to hoe here, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we will prevail, but it's just going to be a long time. So if you've been wondering what's going on, we're still struggling with it, but don't expect to hear radio programming from the West Side Theater on the air very soon anyway. Any questions?
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that. Keep it up, yeah. Any other non-agenda items?
Goodbye, Rick.
He doesn't want to stay either.
Okay, we'll move on to consent calendar. Item A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title, approval of warrants, and approval of minutes of the June 24th, 2008 regular meeting.
I move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We had a public hearing item on the agenda. I guess all the public nuisances have been taken care of, so we will skip right into regular business. Item A, adopt resolution number 2008, next to number, a resolution approving a joint powers agreement for Stanislaus Drug Enforcement Agency.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Before you and your staff report on what we're discussing now is the, for many years, the 9 cities in Stanislaus County, as well as the DA's office, the Sheriff's Department, Probation Department, have belonged to what's known as the Stanislaus Drug Enforcement Agency and county-wide task force for major drug investigations. As part of that process, there was a prior JPA agreement signed, and I'm sure it's a council at some point authorized that. And there's been a significant change, but not one that necessarily impacts our city. But in prior years, the city of Modesto and the county of Stanislaus would change leadership of the drug unit every 5 years. And what they were doing is for 5 years, Modesto would run the police academy and the sheriff would run the drug unit, and then they would switch, try to trade off. The current chief of police in Modesto and the sheriff have since changed that, where the sheriff has assumed full control of the police academy, and Modesto Police has assumed operational control of the drug unit. So that's the significant change to the JPA, and of course dividing the money and so on. There were no impacts to us. Our financial contributions are the same. The formula used to calculate that all stayed the same. So they're just asking us to adopt or to approve the JPA at this time. It has been reviewed by the city attorney as well as the city manager, and they'll come around for. They actually have a staff member going to each council member each council once it's approved for original signatures. So they'll be around. Happy to answer any questions if you have any regarding the JPA.
Adam, weren't you part of that? Weren't you in charge of that? Weren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was the commander of that unit. Yes.
Yeah.
Further questions? If not, a motion?
I would move to adopt resolution number 2008, next number, a resolution declaring, approving a joint powers agreement for Stanislaus Drug Enforcement Agency.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And item B, adopt resolution number 2008, next to number, a resolution approving increases to existing police department service fees.
Thank you. And this item's mine again. And we've touched on this a few times in previous meetings about just in general updates of some of the work we're doing in the police department. And as part of that process, one of the things we began to review were our cost recovery fees for a number of services the police department provides to the community. Examples of copies of police reports, or if your vehicle, you're fortunate or unfortunate enough to have your vehicle towed for driving on a suspended license, for example, you have to come to the police department, pay a release fee to us, a cost recovery fee in essence, for the time and work it took to handle that situation. Those fees had not been adjusted here since 2002, as best we could determine. And then in comparison to our neighbors, other law enforcement agencies in Stanislaus County as well as Gustine, we realized that we were substantially lower than the others. We weren't within the norm for the remainder or the other agencies. So we went back and did some analysis on how much time it actually takes to perform these services, adjusted that based on the current salary and benefits of employees with today's salary of 2008 versus 02, and we came up with the attachment there you have in front of you of the new fees. Some changed very little. You know what, now it dawns on me now, it doesn't help the situation. I should have had probably a comparison for you, but some I may remember them if we have questions. Some did not change at all. We were maybe we were too high in 02, or just no one else has changed theirs either. Others, one for example, did change dramatically. The most significant is the vehicle impound. Our last our fee indicated we were at $40, and we're well within the norm now. And I brought that analysis with me. It actually came out to, I think, $184.50, and we just made it $180 for maybe a little room for error. But Modesto is currently, I believe, at 175, and they're real quickly going to 210. Sheriff's department's in the 160 range. They varied. We're about the middle of the road there, but that's our actual cost. These are not designed for profit, just to recover our fees.
Cover our costs, sure.
Exactly.
Another one I just remember off the top of my head, because I do them a lot, is the alcohol beverage control letter. I think it was 17 or 18, so it's not that much of a...
Correct, and actually all of those that were 25 is the strangest thing. Almost every city was identical. So there's not, for whatever reason, on like the immigration letters, ABC letters, or the alcohol license, almost every city was at $25.
Come up to par with what everybody else is charging.
Exactly.
Sure.
So for the most part, we're within a few dollars of everyone else on all of these. I believe actually one actually eliminated was we were charging a $5 fee to apply for a CCW, just to fill out the paper. No one else was charging anything for that. Now, if they're accepted, of course, they pay a fee, but just to hand them the piece of paper, we were charging $5, so we're no longer doing that. So.
Adam, just a quick comment.
Yes.
How do I sign up for this Fix It ticket for $10? Just in case.
Well, that fee there is, and actually, for clarification, I think it should say non. If our department, the way we wrote that one, if we issue you a correction citation, you have a headlight out, a brake light out.
Yep.
If we're the ones who wrote the citation, there'll be no fee for that. You can stop any officer in the field. You can come by the office, and if it's corrected, of course, we can sign it off for no fee. But if CHP is writing you a citation, and this is similar to what other agencies do, Modesto PD, Merced Sheriff, someone like that writes you a citation, and then you come to us to sign that citation off, then we have that fee. If they come to the office, we have to call an officer in off the street to do that, because a sworn person has to do that.
Excellent. Do you feel these are covered the cost then?
Yes, we're satisfied that based
Okay.
on, and the plan is we want to try to review these, about every 2 years or so,
Okay.
so we don't fall so far behind like we did now. But really, the adjustments, as the mayor said, were not that much, with the exception of the vehicle impound. That people are going to feel that one.
Yes.
But typically, those are people that are driving without a license, suspended license, DUIs, these types of encounters with us.
Any other questions, comments? If not, some direction?
I would move to adopt resolution number in 2008 next to number, resolution approving increases to existing police department service fees.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Chief. Item C, designation of voting delegate and alternate voting delegate for League of California Cities Annual Conference. Is anybody else going to the conference in Long Beach other than myself?
me.
Ted, you're going?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll be the voter and you'll be the, or vice versa? Or
Whatever you want.
you staying to the end? It's
What-
like on noon on Saturday is when.
On Saturday.
So vice versa, whichever you
No,
want to do.
I'll stay till noon.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you don't mind.
No, yeah, sure.
I'd like to just check it out. See
Absolutely.
It would be interesting to.
Sure.
Can't we both go? I mean, who's going to know?
Well, I'm on the resolutions committee, but it doesn't matter. You,
Well, then
It
you.
doesn't- no, it doesn't
yeah,
matter,
if you're on
really.
the committee. I'd be curious just to see it.
Well,
see
you-
what to take.
I mean, yeah, you'd be there. You just
Yeah.
got to vote. That's all you got to do.
You won.
Okay. No, that'd be great. Yeah.
No, but you need to. You could stay and see it too. I mean, you could see what happens.
Yeah.
In that deal. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. And we need a vote for that, I guess.
I want
Okay.
clarification.
Okay. Me and Ted are both going,
Who's
and
on
we'll
first?
decide who lasts till
We have to
noon
do-
on Saturday.
We have
I
to
know.
do,
Okay.
we have to do a resolution, so you need to name somebody.
Okay. I'll be the delegate, and Ted will be my alternate in case I don't make it till noon on Saturday. How's that?
So the mayor's the voting delegate and Ted's.
Yeah, we'll get
The alternate.
Ted past the
I've
vote
always
too.
been an alternate.
What's that saying? Bridesmaid never a bride or something like that.
That's a good one for me.
Oh.
I just pay for them.
Sorry to bring that, Ted. Report on agreement with the West Side Niners.
Thank you, Mayor. The West Side Niners, as many may know, have long been a participant in youth football here in Newman. For many years, they did practice at Barrington Park, and more than several years ago, they moved to Hunt Elementary School off of Hardin Road there. There's a lot of residential that backs up to that, and so there was some request that we offer up an optional facility for them for West Side Niners to practice. I sat down with Mario Martins and Robert Davis of West Side Niners and offered the use of Barrington Field. And part of that included, though, or didn't include, which is going to be known as the South Soccer Field. So along the southernmost part of Barrington, there's a full-length soccer field, and that's going to be reserved for our recreational soccer program and practices. But one of the issues that the West Side Niners had is they didn't have restroom facilities over at Barrington Park. So the use of at Hunt
the school.
Elementary,
Yeah.
at the school. So part of the agreement that we're recommending tonight is that they be allowed to use Barrington Park as a practice facility. They would put their sled out there, but we don't think that's going to damage the field, and they'll be doing any repairs to that. They'll have access to the snack shack so that they can store their equipment that they use on a daily basis. They'll have charge of the restroom facilities because they also have a cheer organization that practices out there as well. They will be maintaining and providing supplies to the restroom facilities, and they will be given a key. So we don't open the restroom facilities other than baseball. They'll be using that as well. So I did see Mr. Davis, the president, again today. He did have just some minor changes to the contract that I want to bring to your attention. Under the whereases, West Side Niners football, they're a California nonprofit corporation, so I'll just make that minor change. The only other change that they had was instead of October 31st, 2008 being the last day, they would like to make that November 7th because that's the last day of the playoffs. So
They have
this
yeah.
is a practice field agreement that mirrors the agreement that we do with the baseball board. And again, it allows them to use the baseball field, but the city reserves the southernmost soccer field for soccer practices, and they understand that.
Naturally, they have their own insurance and all that.
They have to, yes, they have their own insurance, and they have to name us a party to that. The second request that the Niners came up with was because with them moving to Barrington, they didn't have a place to practice field goals. They currently practice at the high school, so they're making a request to see if the council would be willing to put forth up to $400 for a portable field goal place so they can practice their field goals. If the council so elected to do that, they could do that out of community promotions money.
Did they go to the rec commission or not?
We did not go
First-
to the rec commission because their practices, the rec commission did not have a meeting last week and they're getting ready to start. We wouldn't have had time to complete this agreement and
Okay.
get to the council.
Because you know they're going to be bent out of shape. But
Probably. Well, one of them will.
I know. That's why.
Perhaps more of them should show up to the meetings and we
Yeah.
actually have them.
This is true. This is true.
They did not have a quorum at their last meeting.
I seen that in the minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nobody. It's terrible.
Questions, comments? I think this would be a nicer place for them to practice, especially with the restrooms.
I think it's a
Good.
win-win for us, but again, now we have to vote on the $400 too?
Well, yeah, we would like you to take action on both of those, so.
Coming out of your part, right,
Well,
Ted? As usual.
My own opinion on that is let them stay at the high school doing that. That's gonna be a bigger field anyway.
They're not at the high school.
There was the
No, but for field goals.
Well,
Field-
it's on the
field
other
goal.
side of town.
This is
They'd have to- then they'd have to
practice.
go all
Well,
the way to high
yeah,
school.
but that's a separate, I don't know.
If you have the same kid kicking field goals, it's also your quarterback.
Quarterback, yeah, we'll
You
do
have
it on a
little
different day.
problem.
But, no, I know, but I just $400 for a portable field goal. Can't we put up have the city put up 2x4s just to, that's all they need. Seriously,
We could
they
look,
only need you
Is
don't
this-
need a whole elaborate,
This thing must be made out of plastic, like, or something like that. Fiberglass.
yeah, there's we could discuss that with our public works
I mean, what
department
else could we
about
use it for?
using PVC pipe or something there.
just
to-
throw up a 2x4s, my God, doesn't.
Ted,
It
calm-
doesn't happen that way anymore, Ted.
Ted, calm down.
It doesn't
I
happen
think we
that
ought to
way
do is
anymore.
take it out of Ted's salary.
That's what I
Yeah,
think.
take it out of it. Nothing's comes out of
So-
nothing anyway.
Ted, since you're not having to pay for a second banner this year, you have
Oh,
money
no,
left.
no,
in
we're
your-
not done on that banner.
Oh,
It's
okay.
coming up.
North end.
We're not done on the banner. Just
Yeah, they're
Tell
they would,
Ernie not to give
they
me
would
another
in essence
tree.
be using about 3 soccer fields worth of space plus the expansion area.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, the expansion area
Yeah,
would be a good
so
place.
they have 4 teams. They would essentially have about 3 full soccer fields and the park expansion area.
Michael,
with
what's
the
in,
4.
how much money is in the community promotions? Do you have any idea?
I think we had that around either $3,000 or $5,000 this year.
I don't have-
None of it's been used at this point.
I'd rather see the money, to be honest with you, put into the field. Make it, make sure that's really in good shape, and then you can put it, anyway.
You know, they need to have proper facility and they need to have, I think, a proper goalpost. I would support the agreement and support taking the $349.95 out of community promotions.
Is that a
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Ted, are you opposing?
Yeah.
Motion passes 4-1. Thank you, gentlemen. Item E, report on Assembly Bill 2716.
This was a
League deal.
League of California Cities has attached the attached letter for the city to council to review and take potential action on. What this does is it places an undue burden on cities. With that, for every 30 hours that somebody works, they would be entitled to have 1 day off. And that includes all part-time or seasonal employees. So then you're starting to pay sick leave for part-time and seasonal employees, and that would be a significant cost to the city. Currently, we offer sick leave to our full-time employees, and we think that's appropriate. We do not think it's appropriate for seasonal or part-time employees to be eligible for sick leave. So with that, we ask that the council authorize the mayor to go ahead and send off this letter.
Questions? Comments? We need a vote, Tom, or just
Just a vote?
motion? Motion, Ted? Or?
I move to approve.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve this and that have the mayor send off the letter.
In that case, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item F, adopt resolution number 2008, next number, a resolution approving task G for the downtown plaza project and authorize the city manager to execute a contract for services.
Currently, the city is working with RRM Design on the plaza. Task G, though, is the frontage improvements, and that would be the sidewalk areas and storm drainage and the like, basically from Tulare Street southward to Fresno Street. And that would, we were asking them to now come up with a design that is consistent with the Plaza Committee over there. Part of the reason why we need to move forward with this app outside of the task for the plaza is because we have T money that the mayor worked really hard to help us secure through StanCog. That's $548,000.
Something like
625.
Yeah.
It's one of those numbers. We have to have an E76. I'm trying to use these terms. I have no idea what they mean.
In other words, the paperwork has to be in place to
Paperwork
be
has to
able
be
to
in
expend
place
these funds.
this fiscal year.
Yeah.
In order to do that, Caltrans and RRM and city staff have worked together on a schedule. That means in order to get something done by the end of this fiscal year, which is July and June, we have to have something submitted to Caltrans by December 1st. And then they take the rest of the 7 months of the year to kind of muddle through it. So with that, we were asking that you approve this task here, and again, this will be for street frontage improvements from Tulare Street to the north, all the way to Fresno Street in the south, and it'll become a part of the Plaza project.
Michael, speaking of the Plaza Committee, the meeting was canceled, huh, last week? So
No, we had a meeting last week.
You had a meeting? Okay.
We did have a meeting last week. It was very insightful.
I thought it was canceled.
No.
Really?
No, we had a meeting for the Plaza Committee. We had a meeting last week. It was we had to reschedule the first one, but now we
To the 22nd.
now we have another meeting on the 22nd.
Oh.
That's a
okay.
follow-up meeting to the first one.
So how'd that one go, you said?
I think it went very well. We came up with some alternatives, a potential alternative for the
Yancey Building?
Yeah,
for the
the
Yancey building. So we're gonna flush that out a little bit and then get back and talk about the plaza and the Yancey building out there as well.
Did
Insightful. Is that anything like riveting?
did the nice people that showed up at the meeting go to the Plaza Committee meeting?
We did have a new group of people show up, maybe half dozen or so new members show up
Good.
and participate. So again, I think in the end, I think we will find a suitable location and environment for the Yancey, whether it's in the plaza or in an alternative location that we're looking at with the Plaza Committee.
Okay. With that, we need a motion for item F.
I so move for adoption of resolution 2008, next number, a resolution approving task G for the downtown plaza project and authorize the city manager to execute a contract for services.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 11, staff reports. Michael?
So
Oh, I'm sorry. Jim. Jim. Nothing?
What?
Really? Everything's been quiet? Too hot? No,
He had his breath taken away
No.
on the ride over here, possibly.
no bikers at your meetings like the Modesto City Council? Or? Oh, okay.
It's actually been very quiet. We didn't even have a meeting this week.
Well, thank you for coming anyway, Jim.
Adam might have a car sitting out there on the Hills Ferry Road just in case his red convertible comes whipping by there.
see if the Charger can keep up.
Test that charger a little
We'll
bit.
test that Charger out there and see if we can keep up. Our deputy clerk posted a notice for elections as required by state law. So in case you haven't seen it yet, July 14th is the open enrollment period for members of the public and seating members of the council that want to seek election to the city council. The open enrollment period, the days that you can pull papers through City Hall, will be July 14th through August 8th. The one exception is if one or more members of the seated council elects not to seek re-election, then that would be the enrollment period would be continued to August 13th.
Now, that's if they don't turn papers in by the 8th, right?
And that's if
the
they
way
don't
that
turn
works.
papers in by the 8th. That's
Yep.
correct. So, just as just for your information, the school board has given notice to us that they'll no longer be holding their meetings here in the council chambers. They will be holding them at the new Adult Education Center on the Von Renner campus. So I believe that's supposed to start within the next couple of months. I don't have an exact date, but we'll make sure that we get you that in case you're interested on that.
Are they scared of the cameras, or?
No, my understanding is that they're going to have cameras available.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My understanding is that they'll have everything available to them that they would have available here as well. I think it's an opportunity for them, again, just to start utilizing the building. You know, and that leads me into this council through the CDBG program, Community Development Block Grant Program, and with the assistance of Stanislaus County, we will be offering computer classes to our residents free of charge. And there'll be approximately 35 classes taught here in Newman between September and May of this coming year. Now, those classes take you from basic what's in the box to more advanced classes, including web design, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel. These are all free to the public. Some are actually going to be bilingual classes. If you were to take these classes through Computer Tutor, which is a for-profit group in Modesto, they would cost you approximately $200. So again, we're going to go ahead and post that schedule on our website. If anyone has anything, we'll also be publicizing it in the newspaper as well. But that is another use that the school district has made available to us. All these classes will be held at the Adult Education Center at the Von Renner campus.
Good.
City Code, our deputy clerk again has been working on updating the city code. Now you can go online and all the new ordinances up to 2007 are in place. So the only ones that we have not updated yet are ordinances that have been adopted by this council in 2008. So up through 2007 are in place, so we're updated on that. The next Plaza meeting will be our next council meeting date, which will be July 22nd. That'll be held here in our chambers at 3 p.m. Again, the public is welcome to attend to that.
Are they RRM people? They're usually at those, aren't they?
Yes, RRM always attends those. They actually, city staff sits back.
Right.
We don't really participate too much in the discussion unless we're asked a question. It's really a discussion between our designers and the Plaza Committee. Again, we mentioned it earlier, but the blueprint process is coming to Newman on Thursday the 10th, and that'll be at the Louis J starting at 7 p.m. Mayor, as you know, July 21st is a flood control meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be
From
here
2 to 5, I
at
believe.
2
isn't it?
o'clock. That's
Yep.
correct.
You might as well announce the chamber dinner dance, August 9th
August 9th.
at the Louis Newman.
Okay.
Western theme.
We asked about, as we have completed our presentation to the council with respect to our master plans, we are now compiling those all together with our municipal service review. We should be submitting that to LAFCO within the next week or 2 weeks. We have not submitted our wastewater treatment master plan, the latest one that was presented to you. We have not provided that for public review, so we have not started our 30-day public review process on that yet. We're still working with Eagle Logic and making sure that it's a clean draft that staff approves. And that's all that I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Other staff reports?
Unfortunately, live scan's still not operational. We have we believe we resolved a technology issue with Department Department of Justice in Sacramento today. So we should have a definitive answer tomorrow on exactly when we'll be operational, but we hope to be in the next week or so for our applicants. A little bit of update on the canine program. I know it seems as though this has gone on forever, and we are working very, nobody wants the dogs out more than we do out on patrol, and but we seem to be finding one setback after another. The latest is an equipment issue because of the floods in the Midwest. The company that we purchased, if you recall, not cages, but the shield that protects the dog and a prisoner, and you can compartmentalize the dog and the prisoner in the back. That piece of equipment comes from back east, and so we're having some transport issues because of the flooding, they tell us. So it's one of those, it's been shipped, but they can't tell us when it's going to arrive based on navigating the situation there. So we hope that will happen the next week or so they tell us. As far as the dogs go, both are performing very well, and we hope within the next 2 weeks they'll be certified. A reminder of how that works: we actually train with the Sheriff's Department, but we use even a third party to certify them, so it's not the teacher, so to speak, who's blessing their own student. So it'll be someone, I believe, from either Tuolumne Sheriff's or Sonoma Police Department, who's a state certified to certify the dog and the handler. So we hope for that to happen in the next few weeks. The equipment comes in, so sometimes this month the dogs will be out. And lastly, one of our officers broke his foot off duty, so we have a little bit of a little staffing shortage. He'll be out until the third week of August, so we're trying to scramble to cover shifts and so on. But a little jet skiing accident.
Jet skiing. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Good evening. I just wanted to let you know that we still have a few openings in our youth soccer program. The only division that is full at this point is our junior high division. We have also extended our registrations for our basketball camp and our volleyball camp until this Friday. Tennis lessons have been a huge success. I actually talked to the director in Gustine, and she told me last evening that I think she had a total of 16 kids sign up for her for all three of her sessions. I'm sorry, her 3 classes, and we had 16 in just one class. And with our youngest class, we had 12, and our adult class, we had 1 more. So we did quite a bit better than I had expected for that. And speaking of successes, our Fit Kids program has grown we now have 160 registered participants. So unfortunately, we had to halt the registrations so that we could keep our instructor participant ratios intact and our sanity. Any questions?
That's fabulous.
That's good.
Just fabulous.
And you know what? They're all having a great time. And we're having a great time too, so. And Thursday's water day, so it'll be a great time.
Water day?
Got to do something when it's 110 out.
No kidding. Thank you, Chair.
Mayor, the rest of our department is one's sick and one's out on the educational front.
Okay. Council comments. Mike?
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ted?
The infamous banner. Anything new on that, guys?
We're waiting to hear back from the banner guy. We talked to him again this week, and he's supposed to, apparently the pennant thing is what they wanted, pennant shaped like a triangle. And that's somewhat of a hold up for our guy. He's trying to figure out if that's something they can do or not.
Our local guy, or not?
Somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Typically our banners are rectangular shaped,
Yeah.
grommet. They're hoping to get something maybe triangular shaped, so he's not sure that he can accommodate the triangle yet, so if not, we may have to just go back to a rectangular base.
I was picturing something, I don't know. Picture, something with the banner that we have now. It's something you just put in the little thing, the holes, and then, you hang the little banner from that. It's another sectional champion. Just keep doing, hopefully winning
In all
sections.
likelihood, Councilman, that's what it's going to end up being. Just
Okay,
a
just
small
taking a
rectangular
lot
banner,
longer.
Probably an extension of 8 to 10 foot that just says, 2008 section.
Even that's too big. But, anyway,
They requested the pennant type, meaning the softball team.
gotcha.
So
Well,
we're
let's
trying to
see
accommodate
if you can accommodate him. That's wonderful. I want to thank Ernie and Doug and his crew, and I'm not sure if Edgar was part of this too, but the graffiti was over at Ranchwood. They cleaned that up. There's still a little thing on there, but that looks so tacky. And they, the next day basically they cleaned it up, so it looks nice. It's a lot better. I want to thank him for that, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ted. Ed?
Just a couple things real quickly. The old, our building on Highway 33 in Fresno, the old small building, the former tenants left their advertisement on the south side, like red and blue lettering. And then on the front, there's a bunch of, we've moved to another direction. Since that's ours again, it'd probably be nice if we can get that cleaned up and get all that writing off the building since it's right on the highway. I've just noticed it's been there since they've left. And the other thing is, I talked with Ernie several weeks ago and asked him again for some update information on the handicap parking I had inquired about for Dr. Conga's, on front of Dr. Conga's office. So he gave me some preliminary information, and I just would like to maybe see if we can agendize it and have him give us a report. He gave me what he feared were some costs, and the engineer, and if the council is so inclined to hear a presentation from Murray, I'd like maybe to have it agendized our next meeting and for an action.
If it's, he's got some information, sure, I'd be happy to hear it.
I think it's a good idea.
Thanks. That's all.
That's it. Thanks, Ed. And I can remind everybody about the upcoming Chamber Dinner Dance on the 9th. Louis Newman. Tickets are for sale. See myself or David Reed or any other directors. And
John, what's the next fall festival?
August, John, right?
August, yeah.
August, yeah.
Madison newspapers also.
Madison Newspapers team has them there at the counter.
When's the next fall festival meeting?
Next Thursday, the 17th, 6 o'clock. Dean promised me he'd have it in the paper today and next Thursday.
I missed the last one, obviously. So.
Volunteers are needed. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Do we have anything? We're done.
We're done.
Good.
They're okay with you?
Wait.